Nobody talks about what you need to stop doing. Everyone loves to tell you what to start. Start investing. Start budgeting. Start a side hustle. Start dreaming big. But let me tell you the truth no one wants to say out loud. I didn't get financially free because I added more. I got free because I subtracted. I let go. I killed the habits, the thoughts, the patterns that were quietly bleeding my freedom day by day while I was calling it normal. I was stuck in a loop like most people, making money but never feeling secure. Earning more but always feeling behind. I didn't need more hustle. I needed clarity. And that clarity didn't come from a spreadsheet. It came the moment I asked myself one question that changed my life. What's draining me financially, mentally, and emotionally, and what if I just stopped doing it? The first thing I stopped doing was chasing status. That constant need to prove I was successful. To show I had it together. To keep up with people who weren't even watching me. That was the trap. I used to spend money to impress people who didn't care. Designer clothes I didn't love. Nights out I didn't enjoy. Gadgets I didn't need. It felt good for 5 minutes. Then came the shame, the debt, the stress, until one day I realized I was spending money on a version of me I didn't even like. So I stopped. I cut the noise. I wore the same jacket for 2 years. I drove a used car while my friends leased luxury. And for the first time, I felt rich. Not because I looked successful, but because I finally felt in control. The second thing I stopped doing was waiting for the right time. You know that voice. I'll start saving after this next raise. I'll invest when I know more. I'll start my business next year. That voice is a liar. The right time doesn't show up. It's built, created, claimed. I waited years, sitting on ideas, holding on to goals, waiting for some magical alignment that never came. And meanwhile, my bills didn't wait, my stress didn't wait, my dreams didn't wait, they died. So I made a decision. Start now. Start small. Start scared. But start. I opened a basic investment account with $100. I started a service-based side hustle with no website and no audience. I stopped trying to feel ready and started becoming someone who moved anyway. That shift in energy changed everything. The third thing I stopped doing? Believing that working harder was the only answer. That lie runs deep in our culture. Grind culture. Hustle harder. Sleep when you're dead. I used to wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. If I wasn't tired, I thought I wasn't trying hard enough. But here's what I learned the hard way. Being busy doesn't mean being productive. Working more hours doesn't always lead to more income. It often leads to burnout and broken relationships. Financial freedom isn't about killing yourself for decades and hoping it pays off. It's about building leverage, systems, passive income, smart decisions. I started asking better questions. How can I earn without trading more time? How can I make money while I sleep? I started learning instead of grinding. And I stopped glorifying burnout. The fourth thing I stopped doing was avoiding my finances. Look, I get it. When you're broke, stressed, or behind on bills, the last thing you want to do is open your bank account. It feels like staring into the abyss. I used to avoid my statements. Ignore the debt. Pretend things were fine. But you can't fix what you won't face. One night I sat down and made a list of every debt. Every bill. Every subscription. Every financial leak I was pretending wasn't there. It hurt, but pain creates change. I started budgeting, not as punishment, but as a weapon. I tracked every dollar. I negotiated bills. I called my credit card company and asked for a lower rate. I unsubscribed. I simplified. I took control. And that control gave me back my power. The fifth thing I stopped doing, and this one was the hardest, was taking advice from people who weren't where I wanted to be. I love my friends. I love my family, but most of them were broke, stressed, and stuck in the same cycles. And here I was taking advice from them because it felt comfortable. But then it hit me. Why am I letting people who never left the maze tell me how to escape it? That's when I made a new rule. I only take advice from people who are living proof. People who've built wealth, people who've earned freedom, people who know the game because they played it, not just talked about it. I started listening to podcasts, reading books, joining online communities. I stopped gossiping about money and started learning about it. That shift alone was worth thousands. The truth is, financial freedom doesn't come from getting lucky. It comes from getting honest. Honest about what's holding you back. Honest about what you're avoiding. Honest about the stories you've believed for years that kept you broke and busy. I didn't add more to my life to get free, I stripped it down. And what was left? Purpose, clarity, power. In part 2, I'll walk you through exactly how I rebuilt my life after I stopped those 5 habits, what I added back in, what systems I used, how I created multiple income streams, and how I stayed disciplined when everyone else went back to autopilot. But for now, I want you to sit with one question. What do you need to stop doing today to finally start building the freedom you say you want? Let's talk about the rebuild. Because once I stopped the things that were draining my time, my money, my peace, I was left with space, and in that space, I found power. But here's the mistake most people make. They stop the wrong things. Or they stop too late. And they never fill the gap with the right things. So what did I do next? What did I add back to my life that actually made the freedom real, not just feel good for a weekend, but change my reality for good? The first thing I added was a financial tracking ritual, not a fancy app. Not an overwhelming system, just a 5-minute check-in with my money every single day. I opened a Google Sheet. I gave every dollar a job. I listed my income streams, my expenses, my savings, my investments. Every morning I opened that sheet like it was a mirror. Because it was. It showed me the truth. And when you stare at truth long enough, you stop flinching, you start fixing. I got addicted to progress. Seeing the numbers change, watching debt go down, watching savings go up. I didn't wait to hit 6 figures to feel rich. I felt rich every time I kept a promise to myself. Every time I didn't spend emotionally. Every time I paid myself first. The second thing I added? Multiple streams of income. You will never be free if one paycheck controls your life. That's not freedom. That's risk in disguise. So I got real. I looked at my skills. I asked myself, what do I know how to do that people will pay for? I didn't need to invent something new. I just needed to monetize what I already knew. I started freelance writing. $50 here, $100 there. Then I offered to coach beginners. Then I created a small digital product. Then I started earning while I slept. I didn't wait to be ready. I didn't wait for a perfect business plan. I launched simple, fast, messy. And that's how you win. Not by thinking, by testing. Money loves speed when it's paired with service. The third thing I added was boundaries. With people, with time, with my energy. I used to say yes to everything, and it made me broke. I said yes to every invite, every favor, every shiny opportunity that distracted me from the one thing that mattered, freedom. So I got ruthless. I started saying no, not with guilt, but with vision. I stopped explaining. I stopped apologizing. I realized I wasn't rejecting people, I was choosing my future. Because every yes to someone else's priority was a no to mine. I protected my mornings. I protected my rest. I protected my focus like it was sacred. Because it is. You want freedom? Guard your gates. The fourth thing I added was a personal success system. I call it the Freedom 5. Every day I do 5 things. No matter what. One thing for money, like sending an invoice, following up with a lead, or publishing a piece of content. One thing for mindset, reading 10 pages, journaling, meditating. One thing for my body, walk, lift, stretch, breathe. One thing for connection, text a friend, check on someone, add value. And one thing for tomorrow, set up the next day with intention. 5 things. Simple, repeatable, unstoppable. That system built momentum when motivation disappeared. And finally, the 5th thing I added back into my life was belief. Not the kind you chant in the mirror when you don't believe it. The kind that grows because you earned it. Every time I did what I said I'd do. Every time I showed up for my budget. Every time I said no to short-term pleasure and yes to long-term purpose, I became someone I could trust. And when you trust yourself, you don't need hype. You don't need validation. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. That's what real freedom feels like. Quiet, strong, unshakable, not loud, not flashy, but real. So here's the takeaway. Financial freedom doesn't start with money. It starts with mindset, with removing the stuff that's keeping you broke and replacing it with systems, habits, and beliefs that build wealth from the inside out. You don't need to win the lottery. You don't need $1 million idea. You don't need to be a genius. You just need to stop doing what isn't working and start doing what builds traction, alignment, and results. And yeah, it's hard at first. It's awkward, lonely sometimes, but so is being broke. So is being stressed. So is wondering if your life will ever feel like yours. The truth is, the system is rigged. It's built to keep you surviving, not thriving. But that's okay, because you're not waiting for the system to save you. You're building your own, step by step, one decision at a time. Starting now. So go look in the mirror. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are not bad with money. You're becoming someone powerful, someone wise, someone free. This is your moment. Don't just add more goals to your life. Subtract what's killing them, because that's the real secret. Freedom isn't found in what you do. It's found in what you no longer tolerate.